Hello, and welcome to the first video of the Speedrun Drawing channel. I was wondering for a little while what to draw for my first video, and I thought, well, since my favorite drawing style is manga or anime, what else to start with than the eyes? Now, drawing anime eyes might be a little bit more challenging, or at least it might seem a little more challenging at first, but you can actually draw and design many different kinds of eyes using only a simple skill set. So I'm going to prove this to you by showing you how to draw some simple anime eye designs from basic geometric shapes. So we're going to have a rhombus, an oval, or a circle, and actually two types of triangles, a square, and a rectangle. So let's start with the rhombus. So it's going to be like a parallelogram, like this. Well, you know, a sideways diamond shape. And right here we can already see that this yields itself nicely to draw an eye line, like eyelash line right here. So we can carve this out a little bit. And we can draw where we want our iris to start or our pupil depending on our drawing style. And you can really adapt this however you want. Just these are just some basic ideas, right? So we can go ahead and draw some eyebrows, and this is the basic eye shape, which we can then further decorate, even out a little bit like this. We can draw ourselves a pupil, maybe like this, maybe an additional glint of light right here, and color it in. Now I'm using Photoshop. You can really use any app you want. You can even draw this on paper. I'm using a pencil brush because that's really the medium I'm most accustomed to. We can shade a little bit right here. And that's our basic outline for the eye. We can draw a little bit more lines here to show kind of the skin folding around. And if you want to, you can stick around for the color. We're going to be adding color later. So this is our basic eye for the rhombus. Now for the oval and circle. This could either be, well, an oval or a circle. This really depends on the look you're wanting to get. I'm going to draw more of like a oval egg shape like this, a little bit overemphasized. That's fine. This is nice for sort of like really big, innocent looking eyes. And we can start out with an eyelash line right here, more like this. Maybe we'll want this piece to be our iris. Maybe we'll want it to be, you know, the main part of our eye. So we'll erase a little bit. You know, that just really depends on how you adapt this look to what you want. You know, and it's nice to play around with it, see how you like it to turn out. It's very experimental because, you know, speedrunning. But anyway, so as you can see, we kept the basic oval shape. For the eye, just added a little bit more of like eyelash lines like this, and play with the shape a little bit. So we're doing an innocent sort of look. We can maybe upturn the eyebrow a little bit right here, make it a little bit sad, maybe a little blush right here. And afterwards, we can again add our pupil, and that can look however you want, assuming, you know, this is the white part of the eye and this is the iris. Our pupil might end up something like this, you know, maybe with a shine in the shape of more like a star this time, like that. Oh, this actually turned out more like surprised. Little nose right here, maybe a bit more surprised. And we can again shade in the pupil. And maybe, you know, clean up the lines a little bit. maybe add a couple eyelashes. Now, for the first triangle, we will try a more stretched out, type of a triangle. And, you could make them in different shapes and try out what works, play around with it. Maybe it'll work for you. But I find that this shape works better for me. And for this one, we're going to make big, stylish eyelashes. So, more like this, maybe. And, we can adjust the shape of our triangle if we want to. Make the corner of their eye right here, maybe. A little bit of skin folds, and again, the iris. And since these are extremely stylized, they don't have to be very lifelike, just show, what you're wanting to show with this character. Maybe this one cares a lot about style and wearing pretty makeup, I don't know. An eyebrow up here. And the pupil. The pupil's like this with a triangular glint on the side here. A bit of shading. More skin folding a little bit. Here, the eyelids, Okay, now our second triangle is going to be a very irregular triangle. If this one is closer to an isosceles, this one is going to be, well, this obtuse monster. These are good for this triangle. These are good for, sharper looking eyes, maybe a more angry clandestine character, or whatever fits your narrative. Maybe just a character with, smaller eyes. And you can right away start adjusting the lines. And these, I find that drawing the iris a bit more earlier on can be nice. Maybe they're just squeezing their eyes shut. That's the shape of their eye in general. I find that eyes really show a lot about the character. They're one of the more important parts of a character's design. Maybe they're frowning. You can draw the pupil. Maybe we'll draw something more irregular, or like this. Maybe like this, draw whatever you like. This is very open to improvement and adaptation to your own style. Okay, so we can keep this like this, maybe add a little bit of shadow, especially right here near the top of the eyes. Like this. Okay, now for our square. So if this is our square, we can actually round these edges out just a little bit, but we want to keep the square shape for the eyelid line right here, the eyelash line, and draw just beyond the edges a little bit, like this, so it's kind of straight at the bottom and curved in at the edges. This. Then these lines, we don't have to connect the bottom and top lines. You can leave a little gap right here. You don't have to, you can connect them. This is just for the style. And you can round out here to give it a more natural look. So you could do a similar thing, circle or a square. And you can give them a big pupil too. This can be, you know, the iris is out here, actually, so the pupil is this area here, you know, and we can, since we're doing a square, we can do a sort of square shaped glint right here. Eyebrow, maybe they're kind of sad or surprised or just chilling, just looking at you. Right here. And color it in. It's nice and dark. Okay. Add a little bit of shading here, maybe down here as well. Maybe a little blush. Okay. Now for the rectangle. Again, rectangle. You know, you can draw the dimensions however you like. I'm just going to start with one like this. And we're going to do a similar thing as I did for the square. So the top line is going to go like this, about almost straight at the top, but curved at the edges. This, maybe make it a bit uneven on the two sides, so lift this corner higher up than this one, just to make it more natural. You know, our eyes aren't exactly symmetrical on the two sides, it would look weird. Maybe point this one a bit lower down, and you can draw a little line, a little curve right here, a little C curve, to denote, you know, the corner of your eye, maybe more like this. And we can start now getting with our, you know, place maybe an eyebrow at the top. This is one long eyebrow. Okay. And now we can start with our iris, you know, colored part. Maybe this one's looking upwards a little bit. Color out, color it in. Add some shading. Alright. Now, and again, with the eyelids, lashes right here, if you want. For me personally, I use the rhombus eye shape and the oval eye shape the most often, but all of these other ones are fun to draw as well. Okay, so that's basically the end of the tutorial regarding actually forming the eyes. If you want to stick around for the color, I might have a couple tips as well. So I'm gonna add another layer here, and I'm gonna shift it underneath our first layer actually. And so picking the colors. So first, I think it would be a good idea to switch over to a different pen, and I'm going to choose for this first part just a simple soft round pressure, opacity, and flow, just the default Photoshop. You can go with whatever pen style you want, and we're going to choose some skin tones. So any human skin tone is a shade of brown as a rule, so we're just going to take a couple different skin tones. Okay, so maybe for this one we can have just kind of like a lighter sort of fair skin tone, and then maybe we can have a darker skin tone for this eye, maybe right here, and then maybe like a medium here, and maybe like really fair skin for this one, and I don't know, maybe this, and let's say like so. Okay, so I added the basic skin tones because it will be easier to shade in the eyes later, so that we can do the shading around the eyes as well. So let's start with the rectangle eye. Go backwards. I'm gonna go just a little bit darker skin tone shade and add that darker area around where you would expect to be darker based on the skin folds that we added, maybe right here. And this would of course depend on where the light is coming from. In this scene, we're just kind of going with the flow at this point. But if you're drawing a scene with a character in it, you would of course vary the lighting from depending on where the light is coming from. So here maybe the light is coming directly from above. That'll be easier. We can just shade the bottom part. Okay. So maybe a bit more like here. So of course this is just to give a bit more context for the eye. Our real focus is the eye. So as a rule, the white part of the eye, you're almost never going to make it actually white. You're usually going to make it a more of a muted shade of gray because your eye isn't on the outside of your head, it's more in like a little recess, right? So you can make it grayish, and depending on where the light is coming from, again, you'll make little shadows. And for this, you might want to switch over to a hard round pressure opacity brush, because that's going to help you make this sharper glints in the eye. Okay, so for the color in this one, I say we go for green just because, and we will start our default shade or color, and then we'll just make lighter and darker spots as we go. So darker areas usually happen at the very top and at the very bottom of the eye, right down here. So at the very bottom, the very top, and around the pupil in general. So sort of like this pattern, if you see going around like this. And then an area of significantly lighter color here down in the middle around the edges like this. More or less like this, and white for the glints, maybe light. Okay. So this is for our rectangular eye. For our square eye, again, we can do some shading, and the skin shading, you can also do it with a harder brush. Again, that depends on the look you're going for, your idea, and your style. So that's just what I'm gonna do in this case. Okay. Again, the gray. And the shades. And for the color, I say we can go with something more interesting, like what if this eye is actually pink? Because as you can see in anime style, they vary eye colors, and not all of them are very natural. So perhaps we have pink right here, and then this is our basic shade, so we can make a darker up here, down here, maybe around here, around the pupil, and add some lighter colors, lighter areas of light around here, maybe like this, maybe a bit up here, that was too much. And if you feel that, the skin color underneath is making it harder for you to color the eye, you can always just erase that part too. Okay, so this was our square eye. I feel that we should add a little bit more glints to the top, so we can switch over to our top layer again and maybe add some white like this, and it's really nice to vary the pressure here so it looks like actual spots of light. Or maybe more like this. Play with it. Lighting on eyes is always really fun. And maybe add some more colorful shine like this. Play with it. Okay, now for the second triangle eye. The color for this one can, again, be anything. I kind of want to go for red because I think that's a pretty cool eye color, arguably. Their basic color. Oh, we can add the shading later. And around. So here I was thinking we could go for a sort of darker, more kind of mischievous or maybe even evil vibe, so we can make a lot of the eye darker. And especially near here up at the top. Now note that you can, sometimes even should, add different colors to the same eye depending on the lighting, right? So here, for example, we could add maybe a lighter orange to kind of contrast with this red, and that can make the effect pretty cool. Or maybe more shiny red here. Oh, this eye wound up a bit more orange than I thought, but that's okay, because we're experimenting. I switched over to the top layer to add a little bit more light over here so you can distinguish the pupil better. And we can add our glints of light, and we can go back to shading the skin too. Down here maybe a bit. Maybe this whole character is kind of dark, so we can make this is like, their personality. There's dark, or maybe they're hiding something. We can make like more shadows around their eyes. There's one eye. Okay. Now let's go to the first triangle eye, and I'm tempted to make this eye blue, but also we could make it brown. You know what, let's do brown, because with brown there's actually a lot of experimenting you can do. You can add a little specks of orange there, maybe a bit yellow for where the parts are lighter, so let's stick with brown. Okay, now a bit of shading for the skin tone. Okay, I think this one might be turning out my favorite so far. So here we can start with actually a lighter colored brown, right here, like so, and then go to a really dark brown to color in the tops right here, the bottom. I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit. Okay. darker. Okay. And then go back, maybe let's do a yellow, as I promised, and maybe like little rays of light down in here. You know, maybe there's a really sharp ray of light going through somewhere and catching this character right here. So this eye, and then we can show this gleaming. Maybe I'm gonna go back up to the top layer and add a little bit right here, maybe more like hazy light. And of course we can add lighting to the skin as well if we want to. Like maybe here, that might have been a good idea too. Right here. Okay, yes. This one is definitely my favorite so far. This is our brown eye, and then this one, let's make this one blue. We don't have a blue eye yet, so we can zoom in again. Do a little bit of shading. Let's make this character more of an innocent person, maybe like a child. And pink. Let's color their blush, maybe a bit more of a pink. Even more pink. There. Alright. So for the gray and the white part of the eye, and then our iris is going to be blue. So how about this shade of blue? Definitely wrong there. Okay, this is better. And this style of eye, I like it because you can really play around with the top and the bottom and the differences of shade just because it's so, you know, stretched out in the vertical direction. So like this, you can make a really dark circle around here, maybe contrast the glint a little bit. And I kind of feel like this isn't colored in well enough, so I'll fix that. And then more white right here. This. And go back up to the top layer and maybe make this glint a little bit more. Another one that I really like is just the lines going, you know, kind of through. Maybe there's the characters saying something. There's light around like this. And finally, the rhombus eye here. So if we want to add the shade right here in the skin, and the shading is different, not just in, you know, how sharp the shading is, like the shadows are, but also their color can depend on the light, on the ambient light. What is the source of light? What direction is it coming from? Can depend on the light source. So again, we're making, you know, this wider gray part. Then for the iris color, well, so we have the more typical eye colors like brown, green, blue. We have even a pink eye, red eye. So how about we do a gray eye for the rhombus? So gray eyes do in fact exist, and so we can start out with gray, but you know, we don't have to make it all gray or black. We can make it a bit more maybe hazel colored, or maybe with a tint of even purple. So just a little bit right here, just a little bit purple. Can do a little bit more shadow to the sides here, maybe like this. And our light. And again, this. Oh, okay. No, I don't like that. Okay. Lavender. There we go. Lavender. Okay. And again, so these are the eyes we drew today. You can experiment with this a lot. You know, you can adapt it, change it, but I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial and have a great rest of your day.